Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 24th of January, now it's 20 past 11 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Second update will be a little bit late in the afternoon on my Patreon page, although in between the updates I will share on both channels, on YouTube and Rumble, new episode of headlines. This is short video, short summary of the news that I will talk about in the second update. And later on today, about 9 o'clock, I will have a traditional at this point live stream on my Rumble channel, which I do from Monday to Friday with the Telegram reports program. And well, I will be glad to see you on the live stream. Yesterday we had live stream was quite successful. I guess I was actively engaged with the community. We were discussing different topics, and hopefully this Monday to Friday live streams will help me to generate additional interest towards my Rumble channel, because after all, on Rumble platform my channel is monetized, and on YouTube no, and will never be monetized. So well, it is what it is, man. Let's talk about news now. And well, first of all, Ukrainian special military operation, according to reports that I see in Russian media, on Russian channels, on different platforms, there was no crucial changes on any of the sectors of the frontline. Operational pause, I will say, is mainly holding, with few exceptions. Of course, main hotspot is still Avdiivka direction on Donetsk sector of the front line. All the Russian side is increasing pressure all along the front. And well, I will not go into details because, as I said, there was no crucial changes on line of contact, but I will share with you information that Russian Defense Ministry reported yesterday on progress of special military operation, because well, it's clearly visible from these reports that from reports of Russian Defense Ministry, that as a result of increase of pressure on Ukrainian armed forces in several areas, Ukrainian defense lines are beginning to crack, or they are showing first signs of collapse. And also, by the way, Ukrainian side is having more and more losses. And in yesterday's update, Russian Defense Ministry highlighted that as a result of clashes between the sides during the previous day, Ukrainian armed forces lost about 700 military personnel, which is quite a high number if you take in account that the Russian side at this point are operating with this mobile or active defense strategy, and no large-scale or decisive offensive operations taking place. And well, this is it when it comes to short summary. As I said, no crucial changes on any of the sectors of the front line. And if you are interested in detailed changes, these local scale skirmishes on line of contact, of course, I will recommend military channels for that. They are providing plenty of information on this detailed situation on line of contact. And well, let's continue now. And just about a few minutes ago, Russian media reported that air raid alert was declared in Belgorod region. Also, a little bit earlier today, a drone was shot down. Ukrainian drone was shot down over the Belgorod region. And RIA Novosti is also reporting that 4 Ukrainian drones were shot down over the Oriol region this morning by Russian air defense systems. No reports about casualties on the ground or more or less significant damage. TASS news agency is reporting that Pentagon did call allies of US in anti-Russian coalition to provide Kyiv regime with more air defense systems and missiles for those systems. As we all know, until US Congress will authorize allocation of $61 billion that Biden demanded for Kyiv regime, Pentagon is unable to send any additional military aid to Zelensky and his criminal associates, and therefore US militaries looking for other ways to support those neo-Nazis and fascists in Kiev, and they are basically asking, or one may say demanding from allies of from the allies in anti-Russian coalition to send more weapons on their own. TASS news agency is reporting that Pentagon is hoping that F-16s will arrive in Ukraine during this year. This topic of F-16s constantly circulating in the media, one way or another, and well, let's see when these F-16s will make their way to Ukraine. I remind you that a few months ago, Ribero, biggest Russian military channel on Telegram, already reported that at least 5 F-16s were delivered to Kiev in parts and most likely were reassembled then. But we did not see any reports from any side about those F-16s in the Ukraine since that report of Ribber. And because for the last 2 months Russian side was quite active to target airfields in Kiev-controlled territories and military bases, I guess if F-16s were delivered, if first bunch of F-16s were really delivered to Kiev regime, most likely Russian side destroyed them even before their first flight. But anyway, let's continue. Ukraine is sending untrained conscripts straight to the front lines, according to media. Well, what a surprise, isn't it? Ukraine is sending untrained conscripts to the death on the front line, even after promising them otherwise, the US outlet Daily Beast has reported, citing interviews with several men who have been avoiding mobilization. Well, there is no need to read anymore here. We all know what is going on in Ukraine. I did share so many times on my Telegram these videos when people are kidnapped right on the street, in open, by the way. There are some occasions when these potential drivers for Leopard 2s and Challenger 2s are escaping and running away, or locals are defending them from these criminal representatives of Kiev regime that are kidnapping people on the streets, just about everywhere, all over Ukraine. And there were so many reports that majority of those forcefully mobilized people are not even having some basic training. And just recently there was a report that one of the conscripts were saying that his training, once he was forcefully mobilized, kidnapped basically from the streets, all training that he received was he shot several bullets from AK, and then he was sent to the front line and wounded on first or second battle. That's it. And this is happening on daily basis, and well, maybe it is surprise for Daily Beast to learn about it and readers of Daily Beast, but not for our community. And not for anybody who is more or less informed about real situation in Ukraine. RT reports that Lavrov debunks US claims on Ukraine talks. Moscow has never closed the door to dialogue to end the Ukrainian conflict, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said on Tuesday, reiterating that the country's key goal remains stopping NATO's unchecked expansion towards Russian borders. In a rare interview with CBS News in New York, where Lavrov arrived to take part in a UN meeting on Ukraine and the Middle East, Lavrov rejected the recent claim by US Secretary of the State Antony Blinken, who alleged that Moscow has shown no willingness to engage, to negotiate in good faith to end the conflict with Ukraine. It's not true, Lavrov stressed, adding that Russia has always been ready to discuss any serious proposal that addresses the situation on the ground and the root causes of the hostilities. And well, who can disagree with Lavrov? Moscow was always straightforward and stating that yes, we can negotiate, but we should take in account situation on the ground and the root causes of this conflict to begin with. But of course, Western ruling elites, at least for now, are not ready to talk with Russian side seriously, and therefore all they have left, Blinken and the rest of those Western high-ranking officials, is to blame Russia, that it's Russia is not willing to talk. Okay, RT is reporting that well, NATO sees no threat from Russia towards any of its members. The US-led bloc's Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg told reporters on Tuesday during the press conference in Brussels. His comment comes as several countries, including Germany and the Baltic states, have raised concerns of a potential future Russian attack. Answering the question from journalists following the signing of a major new investment in artillery munition production, Stoltenberg stated that we don't see any direct or imminent threat against any NATO ally. At the same time, he stressed that the bloc nevertheless closely monitors what Russia does and has increased its vigilance and presence in the eastern part of alliance in order to prevent any attacks on ally nations. Yet again, this is, as I said, by the way, yesterday in first update, second update during the live stream on Rumble, and quite a number of times before yesterday. This is new trend. This is new trend in Western, in collective West, when high-ranking officials in one speech stating that Russia gonna attack, Russia may attack, war with Russia inevitable, war is coming, and so on. This scare tactic is clearly visible, scare tactic that is used by collective West high-ranking officials, but same time when they are asked directly what you exactly mean. I mean, there is any indicators that Russia is attacking, Russia is planning to attack, or anything? Why you are talking about this crap? And when they are asked directly, answer is always no. There is no imminent threat, no direct threat, and so on. But still, I mean, we have to do this and we have to do that to prepare for possible attack. So yet again, scare tactics. It's clearly visible, and it's an easy way for Western ruling class basically to do whatever they want with the taxpayers' money and with the taxpayers themselves, because scare society easier to manipulate. And by the way, if you remember, just about 2 weeks ago, I did reported that in Sweden, after statements of high-ranking officials in Sweden, including defense minister, that society should prepare for a war, people get so stressed that these emergency call systems were overwhelmed with the calls of especially younger generation Swedes, when they were, I mean, stressed out because of these statements that war is coming, and they were seeking for some mental health to calm themselves down somehow. So this tactic definitely works. I mean, this scare tactic works. People are getting scared because they used to live, you know, in peace and tranquility, one may say, and now almost every other day high-ranking officials are talking about war, and people are getting sick and tired of it and scared of such a possibility. And scare people very easy to manipulate. You can, you know. And by the way, it's not just about money. Of course, it is about money also, and I think without any opposition, Western ruling elites will manage to allocate as much money as they wish for defense spendings. In reality, for multinational corporations, in military-industrial complex, in other sectors, for themselves, by the way, because majority of these high-ranking officials in the West clearly are operating as if they are representatives or lobbyists of these multinational corporations, and they will get their paycheck for their work 100%. But same time, as I said, they are scaring people, and I would not be surprised if eventually, in upcoming several months, maybe year, some NATO member states will begin talk about necessity to begin conscription again, to increase number of militaries. Just wait for it, by the way. Just wait for it, and this will happen. Anyway, let's continue. RT reports that yesterday I did spoke about this news with in second update during the live stream, but I will share with you also that Foreign Minister of Lebanon, Abdallah Bou Habib, did made a statement. He basically responded on threats from high-ranking officials from Israel, including high-ranking military officials, and he said that war with Lebanon won't be a picnic for Israel. Let's read several sentences here. Lebanese Foreign Minister Abdallah Bou Habib has warned West journalists against engaging in a war with his country. Oh, not journalists, but warned West Jerusalem, Israel's government, against engaging in a war with his country after the Israel Defense Forces chief of staff claimed that the possibility of conflict with Beirut has grown. On Monday, Bou Habib had talks with the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov at the UN headquarters in New York. The latter stressed that the involvement of the other countries, including Lebanon, in the fighting between Israel and Palestine armed group Hamas would be unacceptable. Following the meeting, Lebanon's top diplomat was asked by journalists about the possibility of conflict with Israel, and he said that, I hope, this is quote by the way, I hope the Israelis understand that the war with Lebanon won't be a picnic for them, which is quite understandable statement, and I'm quite sure he did not mean that Lebanese army will give a strong fight. They will try. But of course, Foreign Minister of Lebanon was talking about Hezbollah, battle capabilities of Hezbollah, and well, when it comes to Middle East, I think, and most likely, military experts will agree with me, that Hezbollah is one of the most capable force in the region, military force in the region, especially now, because thousands and thousands of Hezbollah fighters gained experience of long-range urban battles in Syria while fighting against terrorists. So, yes, one should agree with the statements of Foreign Minister of Lebanon, because it's not gonna be easy for Israel to do with the Lebanon what they are doing with in the Gaza Strip. But same time, of course, IDF knows this. Of course, Netanyahu's government knows that it's not gonna be a picnic for them to attack and occupy Lebanon, and therefore, I'm quite sure only if Netanyahu will receive concrete guarantees that Washington will get involved and other NATO members will get involved and they will fight against Hezbollah, only then I think Netanyahu's government will provoke full-scale conflict with Lebanon. Otherwise, they will not even think about it, because they have experience of fighting with Lebanon. And last time they had a war, it didn't end well for IDF. But yet again, I think Western ruling class has interest to create regional conflict, to provoke regional conflict in the Middle East, with eventually not just Hezbollah's involvement, but Iran's involvement, so that Persian Gulf will become closed for navigation. And this way, Western ruling class will cut China off the oil fields and the gas fields of the Persian Gulf, which is immensely important for China. And well, to achieve this, most likely Western ruling class will give some guarantees to Netanyahu's government that, well, US and other NATO member states will fight alongside IDF against Hezbollah, against Iran, against everybody, if they will provoke full-scale war. Let's see how the situation develops. RIA Novosti is reporting that Hamas dismiss Israeli, according to media reports, by the way, Hamas dismiss Israeli proposal on a 2-month ceasefire for exchange of all the hostages, for release of all the hostages in hands of Hamas. And when I see this information, I was thinking it must be something else also, because I don't think Hamas will turn down this proposal from Israel for no reason. And yesterday during the live stream on Rumble, one of the members of our community commented that when I was discussing this topic, commented that Hamas had a proposal also, peace proposal, or proposal for a ceasefire, and Hamas was demanding release of all the hostages that Israel has detained. And we are talking about not just about hundreds, but we are talking about thousands of Palestinians that are detained illegally by Israel. Those people not being charged for nothing. They are just detained. Among them, tens of journalists, by the way. And Israel rejected Hamas' proposal, and I guess that's why Hamas also rejected proposal of Israel. Although in Israeli proposal there might be some other demands also from Israeli side that was totally unacceptable for Hamas. Media did not report about details of this proposal. All we learned from media, from Axios and from other sources, is that Israel had a proposal for a 2 months ceasefire if all the hostages will be released. And Hamas refused that offer. But yet again, earlier Hamas had a initiative proposal for Israel, and Israel also declined that proposal. But well, one may only hope that one way or another sides will manage to agree on something. This morning I did read on one of the channels that now sides are discussing 1 month's truce, and well, maybe they will achieve some result. And even if hostilities will stop for a month, 1 month, it will be a huge break for civilians in Palestine that are in horrible situation, undescribably horrible situation. We cannot even imagine how difficult that situation is in Palestine, when people don't have nothing, no water, no food, no nothing, and they have to survive. TASS news agency is reporting that US conducted yet another strike on Yemen this night about 2:30 nighttime, and according to this report, or according to US claims, 2 ballistic missiles were destroyed of Ansar Allah movement. Maybe that's the case. Maybe they did manage to destroy 2 ballistic missiles, but I don't think it will significantly impact battle capabilities of Yemeni Houthis. I'm 100% sure with these strikes, US, UK, other anti-Yemeni forces not gonna achieve nothing, because Houthi rebels and Ansarallah movement went through military campaign of Saudi Arabia and UAE, and they were bombing hell out of Yemen, but they didn't manage to defeat Ansarallah. It is what it is, and I don't think US and UK will have any other result. And at some point they may begin ground operation, exactly because they cannot achieve much with these airstrikes. RIA Novosti is reporting that Parliament of Turkey ratify Swedish bid to join NATO. So it's only a matter of time now, some formalities, and Sweden will become a new member of NATO. Although, by the way, interestingly, yesterday I did share on my Telegram channel that Prime Minister of Hungary, Orban, did call Swedish colleague to visit Hungary to discuss Swedish bid for to join NATO. So maybe because of this immense pressure on Hungary from Brussels, from everybody almost, from entire West with very few exceptions, maybe Hungary will retaliate now and block Sweden to join NATO. I don't know. Theoretically, that's possible. But it was interesting to see this news. I will, of course, follow developments, and if any additional information, I will share it on my Telegram and other updates. RT reports that Trump scores election win in New Hampshire. Former President Donald Trump has won a commanding victory in the New Hampshire Republican primary, scoring an easy win over his only remaining rival for the GOP nomination, Nikki Haley. Associated Press called the race for Trump at 8 p.m. Tuesday night, I guess local time, with the outlet telling 54% of the popular vote for the ex-president, with 83% of the total ballots counted. Haley, a former South Carolina governor and the last Republican vying for nomination against Trump, took 43% of the vote. Separate count by CNN note that Trump has scored 12 delegates against Haley's 9. So, well, does anybody has any questions, any illusions that Trump will be, and Trump is a major nominee and major candidate from Republicans, that he will, I mean, no one can basically compete with him in the Republican Party? I mean, it's so obvious, but they have to go through these procedures anyway, and they can, there will be some more primaries, I guess, and eventually, of course, Trump will be nominee from Republicans if he will make it to the race itself, to the election day, because neolibs, deep state, who knows what they're gonna do, man? Who knows what they're gonna do? And well, Trump is under Secret Service's protection now, most likely. But whatever the case, he have to think about his security for sure, because anything may happen. Neolibs and deep state, they may take him out. That's a possibility. And even Tucker Carlson, if I'm not mistaken, did spoke about these risks like months or two ago. Anyway, let's continue. RT reports that well, Lavrov was foreign minister of Russian Federation, was asked what will change if Trump will become president of US, and he said that Trump won't change anything. Let's read what he meant exactly. Ties between Moscow and Washington are unlikely to improve even if Donald Trump wins the upcoming 2024 US presidential election. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov told CBS in an interview that aired on Tuesday the former US president had previously repeatedly boasted about his good relations with Vladimir Putin, president of Russia. America's general approach towards Russia has not changed over the past decades, Lavrov said, adding that Washington itself had ruined its relations with Moscow by dismantling all the confidence building mechanisms and eroding mutual trust. The minister pointed in particular to the decision by former US President George Bush to withdraw from the anti-ballistic missile treaty in 2022, the key arms control agreement signed by US and the USSR in 1972 limited the number of ballistic missile defense systems each side could have and was designed to do pressurize the arms race between the two Cold War rivals. Washington has since shattered the foundations of liberal relations with Russia by terminating all agreements on strategic stability, parity, mutual trust, inspections, and transparency, Lavrov said. Trump himself was instrumental in dismantling one of the few remaining arms control treaties, the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Agreement, INF Treaty, which banned the two nations from having any ground-launched missiles with ranges between 500 and 5,500 kilometers. The US first unilaterally suspended the INF Treaty in February, unilaterally suspended the INF Treaty in February 2019 during the Trump's presidency, and then withdrew from it in August of the same year. Russia suspended the agreement in February in response to the initial American move. According to Lavrov, Washington is still too obsessed with its own perceived superiority and impunity to change its approach to relations with Moscow. The US leaders had ignored huge amount of goodwill shown by Putin during his first two terms, the Russian minister said, adding that American politicians apparently sought to keep the Russian president in their American politicians apparently sought, what is sought? Sought to keep the Russian president in their pocket. They dream about, most likely, US politicians dream about to control the Russian president. They had miscalculated everything, Moscow's top diplomat said, adding that the current generation of the US politicians had not learned a single lesson from the mistakes of the predecessors. In recent months, Trump has on several occasions vowed to put an end to the conflict both between Moscow and Kyiv and Israel and Hamas. Well, how are you going to comment this? Is Lavrov mistaken? I don't think so. I think he's absolutely correct because Trump already was president and relationships between Russia and US was not really in a good shape, isn't it? He was making some statements that things gonna improve, relationships gonna improve, and countries should have a dialogue, but real steps, one thing is what he was talking about, and second thing is what he was doing in reality. And well, as Lavrov pointed, Trump withdrew US from IMF treaty. Trump began sanctioning Russia, by the way. The sanction war against Russia began during the Trump, really. And he was very tough on Germany, basically, to cut ties with Russia. He was constantly talking about these Nord Stream pipelines and how Germany not supposed to receive, to have a, business with Russia. So, well, Trump most likely will become president of US, but I'm afraid nothing will change in relationships between the countries. Even if Trump will want to, even if he has some change of mind, and if he realizes how dangerous this current path is for the world, I don't think he will be able to change anything, because US run by shadow forces, not by presidents or elected officials in Congress and Senate. No, US in reality run by shadow forces. Call them deep state, call them multinational corporations, call them whatever you want, but that's reality. And now we have clear evidences for that, because everybody understands that Biden don't run shit. He cannot understand who he is. He cannot remember his name. So of course he does not run nothing. And who does then? Those shadow forces do. And same will happen during the Trump's reign. That's Trump's presidency. RT is reporting that EU foreign minister back Russian asset tax scheme, according to Bloomberg. The EU is moving forward with plans to impose a windfall tax on income generated by frozen Russian assets, Bloomberg reported on Tuesday, citing sources. Bloc members, foreign ministers, approved the tax on Monday, and their ambassadors will discuss the steps later this week, the outlet claimed, citing people familiar with the matter. The report came after EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell said on Monday that member states had reached an agreement on the windfall tax, and that the bloc's ambassadors were expected to greenlight the decision to first accumulate the funds on a separate account and then use them in Ukraine. Well, yet again, man, as I said, by the way, these people, officials in the West, in EU in this particular case, they will come up with all the legislation that they need, all the agreements that they need to steal Russian assets, and they will. To steal frozen Russian assets, and they will, by the way, I have no doubts about it. And I was saying this from very beginning, because that's what they are. They cannot help themselves. They're gonna steal it. And from roughly 300 billion USD Russian assets that are frozen by the collective West, 200 billion is in EU jurisdiction, and about 100 billion in US jurisdiction. And on both sides of Atlantic Ocean, capitals are discussing and looking for ways to steal these assets. And by the way, we have a first potential candidate from EU, which will be first to steal these Russian assets, because we have information that Belgium has already made up here its mind, according to La Libre media outlet, which is based on statements of defense minister of the kingdom, Ludivine Dedonder, and most likely before end of 2024, Belgium will transfer to Kiev regime 611 million euros of profits from frozen Russian assets. So it's still Russian assets, isn't it? This is profit from Russian investments, and it belongs to Russia. But, well, as I said, man, these people cannot help themselves. Entire Western collective West, entire richness of West is built on stealing, robbing, killing, destroying for centuries. This is true history, by the way. I mean, if you are from Belgium, you may not like it, but Belgium was one of the most disgraceful colonizer state. They committed, by the way, genocide who was the king of Belgium, Leopold or whoever was, in Africa, what Belgium was doing in Africa, it's unimaginable. Even Brits probably were horrified. Can you imagine that? It's just in case, you know, just to know what we are talking about here. So, as I said, man, they cannot help themselves, and this so-called ruling class of the West, it's a clans or families or clans that are in elitist position, in elite position for generations and generations, and they learn from previous generation what to do, how to do it, because that was the example for them, and therefore they are all thieves, killers, criminals, mass murderers, disgraceful, despicable human beings. Entire ruling class of the West is garbage, basically. Historically speaking, factually speaking. And therefore, as I said, they cannot help themselves. They will steal because that's what they do historically, those ruling class of the West. And I'm not surprised that Belgium is first, man. Anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting, and Belgium would not be last also. RIA Novosti is reporting that in US lawmakers, by the way, are now having row exactly on these frozen Russian assets, on topic of Russian frozen assets, because these so-called lawmakers in US cannot agree which way will be better to steal these assets. Can you imagine that? That's the level of ruling class and so-called elites in the West, that in US lawmakers in Senate in full seriousness are discussing which way is better to steal frozen Russian assets. They have nothing else to do. I mean, in US, country that is on its way to, you know, we all know in which direction US is heading, isn't it? Especially under the leadership that they have right now. And they are discussing how better to steal Russian assets. One side of US lawmakers don't care about nothing. They just want to steal it and give a right to President of US, Joe Biden, so that he will take responsibility and he will allocate all those frozen assets as by signing whatever papers he will be given. But there are other group of lawmakers, and they want first to consult with the G7, other G7 members, most likely because I mean, they want those others to be also involved in this theft. And well, let's see which party will eventually win. They will find some agreement after all, and well, they're gonna steal Russian frozen assets, of course. Of course, one way or another, but they're gonna do it. And they're gonna justify it with the ideas to support Ukraine. Of course, they care about Ukraine so much so that they already killed 600,000 Ukrainian citizens. They push Zelensky to sacrifice 600,000 lives of Ukrainian citizens. And over a million Ukrainian citizens got wounded, lost their legs, hands, their lives have been destroyed. And just because Washington and London, Western ruling class, didn't allow Zelensky to sign peace agreement with Russia in April 2022. So they did sacrifice millions and millions of Ukrainians that are now scattered all around the world. But they still care about Ukraine so much so, by the way, that's what they're going to tell you. That they care about Ukraine very much. I mean, they feel sorry that they are such a, good human beings, those ruling elites of the West, that, I mean, they cannot sleep at night. They think about Ukraine constantly, and therefore they're going to steal these Russian assets. I mean, it's necessary. It's justified. God told him that, and they're going to send this money to Kiev regime, of course. Of course. And well, people will applaud because propaganda, that's propaganda, how it works, man. Vast majority of Western society is like zombies, man. They don't understand nothing. They just don't have idea what the hell is going on in this world. But they listen this BBC crap, CNN crap, Fox News crap, what the hell is TV stations or newspapers in France, whatever it is, man, La Figaro, they read that crap. And therefore, they have no understanding of anything in reality. And they will applaud any decisions that these criminals in the elites of the West are making, of course. But it is what it is, man. And eventually, of course, from 300 billion frozen Russian assets that West will steal, Ukraine may see, I don't know, just a few percentage of it. The rest of it eventually, of course, will end up on bank accounts of these multinational corporations, mainly from military-industrial complex, and in pockets of these corrupt politicians. How else? But anyway, Moscow is prepared for such a development, preparing at least. And RIA Novosti conducted its own investigation. RIA Novosti is a Russian news agency. And according to RIA Novosti, in case if Russian frozen assets will be seized in the West, then Moscow may retaliate by confiscating Western assets in Russia for 288 billion US dollars. So, well, and by the way, I'm 100% sure world will understand this Russian move, because this is retaliation. But world will never understand why Western, collective West, is stealing assets of other countries. And once they began stealing those assets, just look at the outflow for investments from the collective West. People worldwide gonna go nuts. They will begin racing with each other who will withdraw funds or investments from the West earlier. So it's gonna be immensely damaging for the Western economies. And by the way, financial institutions of the West did warn about it. The European Central Bank did warn about it, that this is bad idea to steal Russian assets. But as I said, man, Western ruling class is a Western ruling class. From generation to generation, all they did is rob, steal, kill, and destroy. And wealth of the West is based on this stealing and robbing. Let's be clear here about it. They were robbing entire world, almost entire world, for 3 to 5 centuries, by the way. And, they see this 300 billion and they want to take it. They are sick, man. They cannot help themselves. But anyway, enough of the talk of those despicable individuals in the ruling class of the West. I'm gonna end this update now. Hopefully you will find it interesting, and if so, please click that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like, any topic you find interesting, and share video with your friends. And if you think this project with number of channels and number of programs is interesting, informative, useful, and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, buy me coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care.